So I'm going to make this quick, but in November, God got my attention that he was coming back soon. And I didn't have a date. I felt in my bones that it would be soon. I grew up Christian. I've always heard we're living in the last days. The rapture could happen any moment. And after 30 years of hearing that, I kind of got pretty numb to it. Well, in November, God made it very clear that he was coming back soon. I was working a travel contract in Nebraska at the time, ended up moving back home to Louisiana, and since then we've been talking to friends and family and driving people crazy, and they think that we've lost our minds, but I know he's coming soon. I've put a lot of time into studying prophecy and praying, studying my Bible, and asking God to give me discernment and help me to understand what's going on. From what I have found and what I felt since about February, I've been feeling that we would not be here for winter. I've been feeling like the rapture would happen by late summer, early fall. When everyone started talking about Brother Joshua, I heard it probably close to a month ago for the first time. I was very iffy with believing date setting, but it lined up with what I had already felt, what I was already seeing. So I looked into it and it lines up, but I don't take what people say as fact without bringing it to God. So August 20th, I prayed and asked God for confirmation. If you were really coming back before October, I didn't want to put a specific date, but I just said, if you're really coming back before October, please just make it very clear. Like, I didn't ask for anything specific. I didn't ask for a dream. I just said, I need to know for a fact that it's from you. And within 24 hours, he showed me several things. I have another video getting into a little bit more detail, but I just had another one. So I'm just going to kind of recap a little bit on the original ones and then bring up the new one. So pretty much immediately, as soon as I opened my eyes from that prayer, I was in traffic by the gas station close to our house, and I noticed the gas prices. And on the left column going down was 23, 2 and 3, and on the right side was 9, and I wrote it off. I was like, that's nothing. So the next thing was right in front of me. I noticed a license plate, and in my brain I read it as Exodus 22. That is not what it said, but that's what I heard in my head. I told myself I was crazy, but I went to Exodus 22, read the entire chapter in my phone on the Bible app, and it had absolutely nothing to do with the end times or feast or anything that popped out. So I wrote it off as me being crazy and kind of just forgot about it. When I went to church that night, the pastor was preaching, going back and forth from several different verses, and I kept thinking about Exodus 22. And I tried to talk myself out of it. I was like, you're getting distracted. You've already read this. There was nothing there. But I couldn't let it go. So I opened to it in my physical Bible. And on Exodus 22 in my woman's study Bible, there is a chart on the Jewish feast of the Lord. And it had the Feast of Trumpets and how it ties into Jesus coming back. So I thought that was funny. I was like, okay, I will take that. Any other Bible I could have opened it to and it wouldn't have been there. It was my specific Bible that had it on that chapter. So I told my husband, and I was trying to sleep that night and I couldn't sleep. So I kept praying, and Daniel 9 popped into my head. Again, grew up Christian, very familiar with a lot of verses, a lot of Bible stories. I suck with numbers. I get them mixed up. I can't tell you what chapter or verse to find something in. So when Daniel 9 popped in my head, I knew I had probably read it before, but I didn't know what it was. So when I opened my Bible and I went there, it was talking about the 70 weeks of Daniel, which I was kind of familiar with. When Nehemiah rebuilt the walls to the time that Jesus was crucified was 483 years. There are 70 weeks, or 490 years total, for Jerusalem, Israel. We are in a prophetic pause after the 69th week. We are waiting for the beginning of the 70th week. That begins with the signing of the covenant with the many. Wasn't new to me, so I was just kind of researching a bit. Gave up because I wasn't finding anything new, and I ran across a comment on TikTok that pointed out Daniel's 70th weeks, and the walls had been destroyed and rebuilt again since then. They were most recently rebuilt in 1535 and finished around 1542, which if you go 490 years from there, you land at 2025. Again, could be coincidence, but I've been looking into Bible prophecy since November very heavily. I've looked into Daniel. I've never found this before. And the fact that it popped in my head and I immediately found something new when I had been searching in that book for months was significant to me. So like, okay, that's cool. And I went to bed. Again, still couldn't sleep, kept praying. And about 2 hours later, the word teshuvah popped in my head. And I did not know what the word was. I didn't know if it even was a word. So I looked it up, and it means to repent and return to God. It also means, in modern Hebrew, it can mean an answer to a question, which I found out later, and I thought that was funny. But not only that, it is a period of time, 40 days or 10 days, but pretty much it begins at the month of Elul. The month of Elul is the month of the bride, and it leads up to the Feast of Trumpets. They blow the shofar daily, and the entire time is focusing on repenting, returning to God, being a bride, making herself ready for her groom. I'd never heard of any of that. This happened on August 20th, and on August 25th this year, the month of Elul began. They blow the shofar on the Temple Mount for the first time in 2,000 years this year. I don't think any of that was coincidence. And for me, that was pretty much enough. Like, I was pretty secure with the fact that he's coming back before October, and with the confirmations I got, I feel pretty secure saying that it's probably going to be right around Feast of Trumpets. And we've just had people with a lot of doubt, and it was starting to get to me a bit. So yesterday I prayed again, and I asked for just one more confirmation. Just show me one more thing. And I had a dream, and I did not like the dream. But someone very close to me died in the dream, and I was very upset. And just a few minutes after being upset, the initial shock, I was just calm and had peace, and I was like, we're gonna see them again in a few days. Like, I knew we're about to see them again, and the sadness was just gone. Today I was rocking my daughter in her room, and usually we only do that at bedtime when the light is off. But today she wanted to hang out in her room, and so I was sitting in there rocking her in the daylight, and I have a sign with her birth date and the time of her birth on there. And I was looking at it. She's 2.5 years old. I've looked at this many, many times. She was born on March 29th, 2023. So looking at the date, from the middle, you can go 9/23 or 9/23, either way. And I was just like, wow. And she was born at 10:28 a.m. I ran across a video a few days ago where it was talking about if the rapture happens right around twilight, the twinkling of an eye, Jerusalem time would be about 6:30 p.m., which would be right around 10:30 a.m. here. I just thought it was all very interesting and wanted to share.